Barbara Dettering is one of the 7 saints of St. Paul's and a member of actors Malcolm X Elders Company. Born in British Guyana, she has spent her professional life as a social worker and was healthily involved in setting up a St. Paul's Carnival. After 50 years serving her community in Bristol, she continues to play a large role in the Bristol West Indian Parents and Friends Association. As part of Black History Month and in answer to questions posed by various schools across Bristol, acta interviewed Barbara to find out more about her first-hand experiences of the Bristol bus boycotts.
In the early 1960s, the Bristol Omnibus Company would not employ Black or Asian people to work on its buses, and this led to the 1963 Bristol Bus Boycott. Bristol youth worker Paul Stevenson joined forces with the West Indian Development Council to lead a 4-month-long boycott of the company's buses by local residents, which eventually resulted in the company overturning the colour bar.
How did the Bristol bus boycotts begin?
In Bristol back in the 60s, 50s, 60s, you know, discrimination was so prevalent in Bristol. For example, what brought about the Bristol bus boycott is that a group of people were talking and having heard that they weren't employing Black people, decided to phone up. Among the group was Paul Stevenson, who had a student, and he would have liked to be employed. So Paul phoned up the bus company and secured an interview in the name of Guy Bailey. Paul had a very British posh accent, so when Guy turned up for the job, the receptionist was taken aback that he was a Black person and told him that she didn't think so, he couldn't have a job there. But she also went to the manager and said, your appointment is here. And he's a Black man. Straight away the manager said, well, tell him the vacancies have gone, they've been filled, and we don't employ Black people here in any case. So Guy went back to the group, and that is where it started, that we needed to do something about the situation. So they recruited, told people about it, and we just had demonstrations, very peaceful demonstrations to the bus boycott, to boycott all the buses, and that is where it started.
How did you feel during the Bristol bus boycotts?
I felt very angry because, you're using the buses. They don't stop you from going on the buses, but yet they won't employ you. But they're willing to take your money to pay their drivers. So, it was, well, no, we need to change this. But it was interesting to see that, because they had Black people on the buses in London. So Bristol was the exception,
What was your role in the Bristol bus boycotts?
We women were mostly making the teas and so forth when they're having their meetings and their strategy meetings as how they're going to go about the boycott, and then we would be in the procession with the placards, but the men were the ones in the forefront. They were the ones that was doing all the negotiating with the bus with the bus company and things like that.
Were you frightened during the protest?
It wasn't scary because it was not a rowdy mob. It was a very peaceful demonstration. Compared to today's demonstrations, we were sort of very, very low bottom of the scale. So, we protested quietly, peacefully, but we got our points across. Because as they say, softly, softly, catchy monkey. So, you don't have to scream and shout. You're not going to get heard. Nobody's going to listen to you. But you have a way of getting around and talking people and making them see your point of view. And therefore, you're in a winning situation.
How did you feel when the colour bar was lifted?
I felt great because not being a driver, I depended on the bus. And it's all well and good for them to take my money when I go on the bus, but it's not well and good for them to employ someone of my colour. So it was a victory.
How soon did you see a change after the protest?
It took a while for the change to happen, but the most important thing was that the same day that the omnibus company decided to change their rules, employ black people, was the same day of Martin Luther King's speech. I had a dream, and it was indeed a dream.
How have things changed in terms of equality and discrimination since the Bristol Bus Boycott?
I think that, there has been a lot of change, but there's still an awful lot that can be done. The situation as it is in 2021, with all the coming to light of different things that has happened to the black people in Britain and how the younger generation is dealing with it. Back in my days, we used to not turn a blind eye, but deal with it in a more subtle way and a more peaceful way than some of them would like to do now, see, because they are in your face, they tell you exactly what is what, and they get on with it. They are seeking changes, and I know it's going to come, maybe not in my lifetime complete, but I think there will be a lot of changes, and there need to be changes.
How do recent protests compare with protests you took part in as part of the Bristol Bus Boycotts?
The Bristol Bus Boycott was, to coin a phrase, a pussycat. It was soft. It was very, very peaceful. You got to remember, back in those days, you had the Martin Luther King in America who got what he wanted or protested in a peaceful way. He got heard. So we decided to adopt that attitude as well. We weren't going to go fight and burn places down and things like that. It was a softly approach, and we got things done. Not, in a violent way, because that is what they want us to do. They want you to fight and go on and say, oh, there, I told you so. That's what they're like. So, compared to in the 60s to now, it's totally different. The younger generation is not going to stand for what the older generation stood for or stand back and take. They are going to, because let's face it, 90% of them are British. They were born here. So, when you come to this thing about some people saying, go back where you come from, where? Bristol? Bath? London? They were born here. They haven't got nowhere else to go back. Yes, their parents and grandparents came from the Caribbean, but this is their country, and they are going to fight for it.
With very special thanks to Barbara Dettering, we are so grateful for your contributions, guidance and ongoing generosity. Also thanks to the students of Glenfroom Primary School. Hannah More Primary School, Trinity Academy, Colston's Girls' School and Stoke Park Primary for their questions.